In the middle of a heated argument, my son shouted, "I've always loved Mom more than you. You're unbearable, that's why she left." 2 days later at 2 a.m. he called again, "Dad, my card got declined. I need $2,000 right now. Send $2,000 immediately or they won't let me check out of this club." That was the text I woke up to at 2:03 a.m. My response? Call your mom. Then I went back to sleep. You might think that sounds cold, but I promise you by that point I was just done with midnight emergencies. What I didn't realize, that simple text message and my decision to roll over and ignore it, was about to unravel years of family secrets, betrayal, and a whole lot of unspoken hurt. And it all came crashing down the moment the police called at 9:12 a.m. "Hi, I'm Mason. I'm 44 and I'm a dentist. My days are spent telling people that the pain they've been ignoring didn't just start yesterday, and it won't end with a quick fix." Funny how often that applies to life outside the dental chair, especially my own. For most of my life I've been the responsible one in my family. The fixer. The guy in the background keeping the lights on, making sure the insurance was paid. I can prep a crown in under an hour, I label my lunch, and I floss religiously. I live alone now, in a one-bedroom apartment near the river, with a coffee mug that says "World's Okayest Dad," a gift from my son before sarcasm became his second language. I fall asleep to white noise and wake at 5:30 a.m. without an alarm because that's how my brain is wired after 20 years of patience at 7 a.m. The phone buzzed again that morning, a text this time, "Don't do this. It'll ruin everything. Please." I didn't reply. I just turned it to "Do Not Disturb," and lay there, counting breaths like my therapist taught me. Here's the thing. 2 nights earlier, during a fight that started because I asked about a credit card bill and ended because he crossed a line I couldn't ignore, my 17-year-old son Andrew stood in my kitchen and said, "I've always loved Mom more than you. You're so annoying. That's why she left." He said it like a rehearsed fact. Then he grabbed his jacket and slammed the door hard enough to shake the blinds. I didn't chase him. I stood at the sink, next to a chipped ceramic bowl, the one with faint toothpaste flecks from where he spits when he can't be bothered to aim for the bathroom. I rinsed it, stacked it, set a clean towel on the back of a chair for him, purely out of habit, muscle deep. Then I sat at my little table and looked at the printout of my last mortgage payment, thinking about how much of my life I'd traded for other people's peace. The night crawled by. At 9:12 a.m. after I'd finally drifted off, the ringtone cut through the white noise again. Unknown number. "Is this Dr. Mason Harper? This is Officer Delgado with the 7th Precinct. Your son is here." I pulled on yesterday's sweatshirt and sat on the edge of the bed as the officer spoke. Words like disturbance, unpaid tab, no charges if someone picks him up. In the background I heard Andrew's voice, defiant, then small, bleeding into a hallway echo. "I'll be there," I said. I hung up and stared at myself in the black TV screen. 44. Tired. Jaw clenched. I rubbed my eyes, telling myself the same thing I tell patients who think a tooth will fix itself. Avoidance is expensive. I grabbed my keys. Let me back up a bit. I grew up in a house where love sounded like, "Be useful." My brother, Ethan, he got the shine. I got the shovel. He was funny, magnetic, the kind of kid who could break a window and get a hug for being spirited. I was the one you asked to move chairs, to run errands, to stay late and lock up. That pattern followed me like a shadow. 3 quick scenes. I'm 16, scrubbing casserole off a pan while Mom laughs in the living room with Ethan's friends. "Maze, could you be a doll and take out the trash?" I say, "Sure," because that's the script. I miss the movie they all go to. No one realizes I never came back inside. I'm 24 in dental school, scrubbing coffee stains out of my one white coat in a sink while Ethan texts me a photo of the SUV Dad co-signed for him. "Proud of you, kid," Dad says to Ethan at Thanksgiving. To me? "You'll figure it out." I nod because that's the role. I'm 31, married, holding a newborn who won't stop crying. My wife Lauren, on the couch scrolling, says, "He likes you more. You're calmer." I tell myself, that's love. I rock him until my arms go numb. The money piece started slow, then all at once. 5 years ago, after my parents announced they were downsizing, Mom called me with the voice she used when she wanted something to sound like my idea. "Honey, the house means so much to the family. Your grandparents built it with their hands. It would break my heart to sell to strangers." "What are you asking?" I asked. "Could you take over the mortgage while we transfer things? Just until we figure out the estate. Keep it in the family." It was $331,742.19 remaining, fixed at 3.9%. I ran the numbers. I could shoulder it barely. I told Lauren. She said, It's your family. Do what you need to do. So I did. I refinanced to keep the rate and prevent a sale to a developer. For 5 years I carried that note. $1,887 a month plus escrow. Property tax spikes. A new roof after a windstorm. I mowed the lawn on Saturdays. I painted the porch when boards peeled like sunburn. I replaced the water heater when it died in February. I didn't complain. I told myself I was preserving something. Thank you, Mason, Mom would say. You're a saint. Saints aren't on deeds, apparently. 2 months ago, I stopped by the county recorder's office to pick up a plat map for a fence permit. A small thing for the tenant I'd placed in the downstairs unit to offset costs. The clerk, a woman with a coffee-stained smile and pink glasses chain, typed the parcel number and frowned. Looks like we processed a quitclaim on this parcel last year, she said. No, I said, that's impossible. Must be a different lot. She rotated the monitor. My parents' names rolled across the screen. Then, grantee, Ethan Harper and Sheila Harper, husband and wife as joint tenants. Date recorded, 11 months ago. My name didn't appear anywhere. You know that feeling when Novocaine misses a spot and you hit a nerve you didn't know was exposed? That can't breathe, can't think, blinding agony? Can I get a copy? I asked. She printed it, $2 per page. I paid in cash and carried the paper to my car like it might disintegrate if I breathed wrong. I called Mom. Oh, she said, first word sugar, second word vinegar. We were meaning to tell you. Ethan has the kids. It just made sense. Mom, I said, I've been paying the mortgage. Well, she said softly, you're so good with money. We knew you'd understand. I didn't yell. I didn't hang up. I sat there and stared at the words quitclaim deed, while my tongue felt too big for my mouth. That night, I pulled the box of documents from the closet and started what I refused to call a revenge folder. Receipts, that's all. I printed 5 years of bank statements with the mortgage drafts highlighted. I pulled the original refinance letter with my name as borrower. I found emails from Mom, phrases like, we so appreciate you taking this on and you're keeping our legacy alive. I flagged a text from Dad, we'll make it right when the estate settles. I read the loan docs cover to cover the way I read consent forms at work so no one gets surprised later. Clause 4.7. Borrower shall not transfer any interest in the property without lender's prior written consent. I didn't see any consent. I emailed the recorder for a full PDF of the deed transfer. I cross-checked dates with my autopay. I screenshotted a group text where Ethan asked if he could host a little get-together at my place, that turned out to be a loud party at the house I was still insuring under my policy. Lauren and I were already separated by then, different story, different wound. We were amicable on paper, terrible in practice. Co-parenting a teenager who had learned early that triangulation is a sport. Why do you care about a house you don't even live in? Andrew asked when I paused at the kitchen table, a spreadsheet open, my eyes sore. Because I was asked to carry it, I said. He shrugged. Grandma says you're obsessed. Small cuts. Death by 1,000 of them. I kept gathering. Quietly. I requested the lender's correspondence file. I asked my accountant to prepare a simple timeline with payments and tax deductions taken. I printed the hazard insurance declaration naming me as primary insured. I built a binder with tabs. Mortgage, taxes, insurance, correspondence, deed. I didn't go nuclear. I didn't freeze accounts. I didn't call a reporter. I kept going to work, drilling, filling, polishing, and telling people, conditions don't improve because you hope they will. They improve with treatment plans and follow through. Meanwhile, the family chorus turned the volume up. You're selfish, Mom texted when I declined to pay for Ethan's new fence because the kids need a safe yard. Think of the children. Ethan called. Bro, it's not that deep. You're a dentist. You're fine. My son rolled his eyes at dinner. You could just let it go. Then came Lauren in the driveway, voice low, eyes pitying. Sometimes you make things harder than they need to be. I breathed. I filed. I went for runs at dawn and counted the number of call attempts on my lock screen. 14 in a day. 22 the next. 31 when I stopped answering. 2 nights before the 2 a.m. call, Andrew launched his words like darts. I love Mom more. You're so annoying. That's why she left. I rinsed the bowl. I didn't say, son, I funded your mother's graduate classes, your braces, your summer camps, and the mortgage on a house I don't own. I didn't say, I'm tired. I said, okay. Officer Delgado slid the clipboard across the counter. The 7th precinct smelled like old coffee and floor cleaner. Andrew sat on a plastic chair, hood up, eyes red. You good? I asked. Silence. Let's go, I said. In the car he watched the window. I'm not giving you money for club taps, I said evenly. He scoffed. I didn't even drink. It's a cover charge. My friends, call your mom, I said again, gentle, firm. At a red light he muttered, you're such a buzzkill. We drove in quiet, the kind that fills every crack in the dash. 2 days later my mother texted, family dinner, Sunday 5 p.m. Non-negotiable. We need to talk. I brought the binder. Their dining room smelled like rosemary and staged harmony. Ethan's kids chased each other down the hall. Sheila poured wine. Mom arranged napkins like origami. Dad stood at the head of the table under the framed photo of the house, the one I painted. Let's be adults, Mom said, clasping her hands. Great, I said and set the binder down. Ethan rolled his eyes. Is that your little scrapbook? Documentation, I said. Of what? Mom asked sweetly. I opened to the first tab. Mortgage payments, I said, sliding a stack of highlighted statements across. 60 payments totaling $113,220 in principal and interest. Another $18,400 in property taxes, $9,600 in insurance. A roof, $7,850. Water heater, $1,200. Miscellaneous repairs, $2,320. I have receipts. Ethan laughed. You want a medal? I want clarity, I said. And consent. Mom blinked. Consent. I turned the page to the deed copy and the lender's note, red box clause 4.7. Mom, Dad, I said calm. You executed a quitclaim deed transferring the property to Ethan and Sheila while there was an active mortgage in my name. Clause 4.7 prohibits transfer without lender consent. Did you have it? Silence. I watch faces the way I watch pupils dilate under a bright light. Dad cleared his throat. We didn't think. I slid the printout from the lender. No consent requested or granted. Here's the screenshot, I said, tapping my phone. The email thread, the date stamp, the subject line, the lender's compliance rep. Any unauthorized transfer constitutes a default. Lauren, who had agreed to come for peace, shifted in her seat. Mason. I looked at Andrew. He was watching his fork. Ethan puffed up. You wouldn't? I'm not here to threaten, I said. I'm here to set boundaries and fix what you broke. Mom's voice sharpened. We did this for the children, for stability, I nodded. Then here's a stable plan. We correct title to reflect either my ownership or a recorded equitable lien for my contributions. We refinance if needed. We sign a written occupancy agreement if Ethan remains. We memorialize repayment even if it's over time. And we stop pretending this is fine. Sheila's wine glass clinked against the plate. This is insane. I slid the last page across the table. A letter drafted by my attorney, not filed, not served. It summarized dates and amounts. It referenced gently the potential call to the lender if a fix was refused. It proposed a quiet correction. It included a deadline. I kept my voice low. This isn't about revenge. This is about closure. The room held its breath. Mom's face moved first, a tremble around her eyes. Then the switch flipped into performance mode. After all we've done for you. Dad tried the stern route. Mason, you will not dismantle this family over paperwork. Ethan went for mockery. Of course the dentist brings a binder. Lauren whispered, please just not like this. Andrew said nothing. I closed the binder. Like what? I asked. Comb documented. Fair. The conversation fractured, then exploded. You're ruining us. You're selfish. You don't care about the kids. You always were rigid. You think you're better because you have money? I stood. I'm going home. You have 14 days. If I don't hear from your counsel with a correction plan, I'll contact the lender and proceed to protect my interests. Mom gasped like I'd slapped the table. I didn't. I touched nothing. I walked out. On the drive back, my phone lit up like a slot machine. 21 missed calls by the time I parked. 8 texts in all caps. A voicemail from Dad that started measured and ended thick with anger. A screenshot from Ethan of a group chat. He's serious. What a psycho. I set the phone face down on the counter and boiled water for pasta. The kettle whistled. My phone vibrated across the laminate like an insect. I didn't pick up. The first 48 hours were loud. 37 calls Sunday night. 22 Monday morning before I saw my first patient. Mom on repeat. Dad once, then again. Ethan alternating between demands and jokes. Bro, chill. Bro, you will regret this. Aunt Karen chimed in from 3 states away. Family is forever. Cousin Jess, kids need a backyard. A neighbor I barely knew texted, heard you're taking your parents to court. Yikes. I didn't post. I didn't subtweet. I didn't leak. I hired a different kind of noise. My attorney, Ms. Ruiz, sent a letter on letterhead. Calm, factual, boring in the way safety is boring. She attached the timeline. She referenced clause 4.7. She proposed 3 options. 1. Record a corrective deed restoring title to me. 2. Execute and record an equitable lien in my favor and refinance correctly with lender consent plus a written repayment schedule. Or 3. Sell and distribute proceeds by formula accounting for my contributions. She gave them 10 business days. She copied the lender's generic legal inbox without commentary. I changed my voicemail. For urgent patient matters, call the office. For personal matters, email. I created a rule. Family calls between 6 to 7 p.m. only on Wednesdays. Everything else went to an archive. I blocked no one. I just contained. Wednesday at 6 o'clock. The phone filled the room with buzzing bees. I set it on the table and made tea. I let it ring. At 6:40 I answered. Mom, you're killing me, she said. No, I said, I'm asking for a repair. Think of the children. I am. I'm a child in this family and I'm thinking of myself too. Your brother will be homeless, she tried. He has a household income and a wife with a job. He is not homeless. She pivoted. We raised you and I paid your mortgage for 5 years. Silence. Then the dagger, soft as a lullaby. No wonder Lauren left. I waited for the sting. It landed duller than before. Good night, Mom, I said and hung up. Andrew texted sometimes. Teenage pragmatism bubbling up when he needed rides or spending money. Can I have $60 for gas? I'll transfer $30. You can earn the rest by mowing Saturday. Mom's boyfriend doesn't make me do that. Okay, you're impossible. I ignored that one. The lender wrote back to Ms. Ruiz. Yes. Unauthorized transfer. No, they hadn't noticed. Yes, they expected it to be corrected. Please advise. Ms. Ruiz forwarded the email with a single line. This helps. Lauren cornered me in the driveway during a handoff. You're escalating, she said. I'm clarifying, I said. There's a difference. Andrew is anxious, she said. He says you're making everything about money. I'm making things about boundaries, I said. Money is the tool. She shook her head. You know, he said those things because he was hurt. I know, I said. I didn't throw them back. The call slowed, then changed shape. Guilt to bargaining. What if we put you on the deed now, Ethan texted, but we still keep it in our name so we can get a better rate? He actually typed that. Ms. Ruiz sent another letter. No. The 10th business day arrived. An email from a lawyer I didn't know with a last name that sounded expensive. We propose to record a deed restoring title to our client's son, Mason Harper, subject to lender consent. We will also execute a written occupancy and repayment agreement with the current occupants, Ethan and Sheila Harper. Please provide preferred language for the equitable lien. I read it twice, then a third time. Then I walked to the river and stood on the pedestrian bridge while a cold wind cut through my sweatshirt in a way that felt like a rinse. Not victory. Not gloating. Something quieter. The kind of silence that hums. Andrew called that night. Grandma is crying, he said. Accusation balanced with confusion. I know, I said. Crying doesn't change facts. He was quiet. Are you mad at me? I'm disappointed, I said. Not in your words. In how little you believe mine. He sighed. Can I still come over this weekend? Yes, I said. He came at 7 o'clock. He did not take off his shoes. He opened my fridge, gazed at the stacked meal containers and said, You're so boring. I'm steady, I said. That Sunday I showed him the binder. Not all of it. Just one page, the clause, the timeline. His eyes moved, his jaw set. I don't care about this, he said. I know, I said, but I want you to know why I care. At 11:40 p.m. my phone rang. Mom again. I let it go. At 11:41 Ethan. Let it go. At 11:42, a number I didn't recognize.